All right, let's dive into one of the most fundamental battles happening in crypto right now. It's the fight over how these massive, decentralized networks actually make decisions. I mean, think about it. In a network where there's no CEO, no board of directors, no single person in charge, who actually calls the shots? How do you decide to upgrade the system or fix a critical bug? This isn't just a technical puzzle. It's a deeply political one. So yeah, who is in charge? This question takes us right to the heart of what we call blockchain governance, and it's really all about the nature of power in these new digital worlds. You see, unlike a regular company with a CEO or a country with a government, blockchain governance is all about encoding the rules directly into the system itself. And this isn't just some nice-to-have feature. It is a straight-up survival mechanism. If you get this wrong, the entire network can literally fall apart. But this whole complex idea really just boils down to three simple questions. Number one, who can even suggest a change? Two, who gets to vote on it? And three, how do you actually make that decision happen? The answers to these questions are what create all the different governance models we see out there. And right now, there are pretty much two main camps, two competing philosophies on how to answer those questions. On one side, you've got the people who believe the code should be the ultimate authority. And on the other, you have those who believe that human consensus, the crowd, should always have the final say. This is a perfect way to think about it. On-chain governance is like an efficient robot. It follows its programming perfectly, it's super fast, and completely transparent. But it's also really rigid. Off-chain governance, on the other hand, is more like a messy, chaotic town hall meeting. It's slow, it relies on a ton of debate, but it's flexible enough to handle all the nuance that code just can't. So let's look a little closer at that efficient robot. With on-chain governance, everything is handled by smart contracts. You submit a proposal on-chain, people vote on-chain with their tokens, and if it passes, the code automatically executes the change. It's how projects like Tezos have managed to pull off these really smooth, regular upgrades. Now let's talk about the messy town hall. This is the model used by the giants, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Here, decisions get made through social consensus. Developers will propose changes on forums and mailing lists, and then they're debated for months or sometimes even years. Consensus has to be built really slowly over time. There's no automatic execute button here. So the big question is, which model is better? Well, as it turns out, both have some pretty major weaknesses, and they were all brutally exposed by crisis. Let's just look at the track record. In 2016, the DAO hack forced Ethereum's town hall into a choice that literally split the community. A year later, Bitcoin's town hall just couldn't agree on a simple change, and that led to a network split. And then, in 2022, the efficient robot of on-chain governance was tricked into following its rules with absolutely devastating results. Yup, that's how much was stolen from the Beanstalk protocol. An attacker used something called a flash loan to borrow a massive number of tokens, just for a moment. They used those tokens to single-handedly vote yes on a malicious proposal to send them all the money, and then they returned the loans seconds later. The on-chain governance robot did exactly what it was programmed to do, and it was a complete catastrophe. So this really highlights the trade-offs, doesn't it? Bitcoin's off-chain model is super stable, but it's slow, and you always have this risk that powerful, unseen players can capture the process. Tezos' on-chain model is way more adaptable, but it risks plutocracy, where the richest token holders make all the decisions. And of course, voter apathy. It became pretty clear that neither of these pure models was the answer. So the most innovative projects started building something new, something that really tries to take the best of both worlds. The core idea of a hybrid model is actually simple but incredibly powerful. You use the flexible, nuanced town hall for all the discussion and debate, but once consensus is more or less formed, you use the transparent, automated robot for the final binding vote and execution. Compound is a great example of this in action. First, the community just deliberates on forums. Then they use a tool like Snapshot for a quick informal poll to see if there's even enough support. Only then do they move to a formal, binding on-chain vote. And if it passes, the change is automatically implemented after a short delay. It's a multi-stage process that perfectly balances deliberation with efficiency. And really, these hybrid models are the most sophisticated answer we have to this core challenge. How do you get decentralization, participation, and efficiency all at the same time? It's a really tough nut to crack. But the evolution is not over, not by a long shot. This field is moving incredibly fast, and we're already seeing the next wave of ideas starting to emerge. So, what's on the horizon? Well, we're seeing some fascinating experiments. Things like reputation-based voting, where your influence depends on your long-term commitment, not just how many tokens you have. We're also seeing the rise of professional delegates, which is kind of like a move towards representative democracy. And new AI tools are even emerging to help people make sense of these super complex proposals, lowering the barrier to entry for everybody. But the biggest problems left to solve aren't really about code. They're about us. They're human problems. How do you get people to actually care and participate? How do you stop the wealthy from just dominating everything? How do you encourage long-term thinking? No smart contract in the world can solve these challenges alone. And that leaves us with a final, really fascinating question. These aren't just experiments for some niche crypto protocols. What we're watching are live fire tests of totally new forms of human coordination and digital democracy. What's being built here might just be the blueprint for the companies, the communities, and maybe even the countries of the future.